I'd like We got that, everybody. I'd like to introduce Molly Hall, who is Team Chamber here this morning. And we have Elle. Elle, if I could kindly ask you to unmute, that would be great, and say hello to everybody.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Elle Cloke from We Do Social Media.
Excellent. Elle is going to be with us today, holding our hand through the webinar, which I hope you will all find interesting. And there's going to be some takeaways as well. The presentation will be available and we'll let you know where you can get that. We have a chat facility. So if you have any questions as we go along, do please put them in the chat facility. And when Elle has finished her presentation, there'll actually be an opportunity for you guys to have a question and answer session with her. So it's almost like having your own personal guru with you, a clinic or a surgery. So we're super excited about that. Without further ado, I'd like Elle, if you could kindly stay unmute and then begin your presentation. Many thanks, Elle. Over to you.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much. Right, let's get this screen share. I may be good at social media, but I've recently found out how poor my technology skills actually are. So if it's social media, I can help. If it's IT, don't come. Okay, but nice to meet you guys. I'm Elle Cloke, as I said, from We Do Social Media. And as much as we do social media, I think it is important to stress that, well, with social media, it's an asset, it's a part of your marketing. Without good wording, you don't have a great website, you don't have a great social media presence, and you don't have great marketing. So I wanted to talk about a foundational skill that you can implement today by developing your brand messaging. I've actually worked with someone here, David Proud, on his brand messaging for a particular service, and it was super fun. So if you did want to get kind of an example of the sort of work you can see by doing this, then just go head over to Dave's testimonial website and you can see it in action. Now, so building a brand messaging guide. Most companies waste an enormous amount of money on their marketing. And when I tell you why, you're going to feel it in your bones. I'm not used to the scrollage. There we are. And here's the reason. Year after year, we spend pound after pound. We trust our message to design agencies and graphic artists who have degrees in design. They're amazing at Photoshop and creating these spectacular images, but they've never read a single book on how to clarify someone's message. But that message is going to be on that design. But the reality is, people don't buy products from necessarily a graphic. They buy products after the words they read that make them want to buy those products. In this talk, I'm going to talk to you about how to really develop your message. And if it's not developed right, you're potentially losing customers to your competition that has a clearer message going out there. I'm going to show you the framework that you can use to clarify your message so the customers listen, and the framework will definitely change the way you talk about your products and services, and it might even change the way you do business. So I really hope you see the value in it today. Okie dokes. So before I move on to how to actually do that, I want to talk to you about your customers and how their brains are designed to work. Now, they're designed to work in two ways. The first thing their brains are designed to do is help them survive and thrive. There's a mate, I actually can't remember the study now, it's something hierarchy where we have the triangle and foundations of how we live, and the basics. I can see David's typing. I think he might know it. Like the first one is your housing, your food, etc. Well, this applies here. This means everybody is looking around for information that will help simplify their life, make them more money, make new friends, and anything else that will increase their standing in the world. The problem is, the brain is also trying to do something else. It's trying to conserve calories. And in order to process information around us, we have to burn calories. What does this mean? If we don't position ourselves with our products and services in such a way that clearly helps people survive or thrive, they will tune out. no longer interested in what you have to offer. So I want you to imagine every time you start talking about your business, someone is getting on a treadmill. And it's if they're running on the treadmill, and the more confusing you are, the less likely they're going to pay attention. So the faster you're going, that means you can't pay attention because there's just so much to comprehend. It's like reading a website with paragraphs upon paragraphs. I'm annoyed that it's not like a clicky slide, so it can't be a nice little surprise for you. You're just going to have to slide up. But we shall, by all means, carry on. So imagine every piece of information that somebody takes on about your company is like an 8-pound bowling ball. We can hold the bowling ball quite easily, that's fine. But then another one just keeps adding it on. And by then we're at 3 and you're gonna drop the bowling balls. What's happening is this is happening to your sales. You're giving them so much information that they're running out of space to take on board. So they're going to drop all that information. And when you just can't be bothered to learn anymore, you're going to go somewhere else that is just so much better and easily understood. In other words, if you confuse, you're going to lose. Your brand needs to explain how we can help somebody survive and thrive. And we need to do it so simply that people don't burn a lot of calories to understand how. Oof, thirsty work, isn't it? Everyone feel free to take a swig of tea. So what we do, social media does, and effectively what StoryBrand does, because that's what taught me all of this skill, is that we know the best way to compel the human brain with the power of story. Every person spends about 30% of their day daydreaming, except when they're engaged in their story. Now, the StoryBrand 7-part framework acts as a filter that you can clarify your message so customers listen. And the framework looks like this. It's nice and easy, 7 steps. Now, I do have to warn you, I will probably ruin some movies for you as these stories are very formulaic. But each element of this framework, you're going to have a big realization of how to brand your business, connect with your customers, and most importantly, stop wasting your money on marketing, as that's what a lot of us have done in the past. We've done that mistake in previous businesses. It's so easy to do. So we shall begin with the character. When a story starts, we look at the character and what it is they want. There are 2 mistakes screenwriters and brands make when they're making a story. They either don't define what their customer wants, or they talk about too many things that they offer. And again, that can become quite confusing in itself. So if we imagine Jason Bourne, 1, he knows who he is. 2, he wants to lose 30 pounds. 3, he wants to marry some girl. Then he wants to run a marathon. Then he wants to adopt a cat. Yeah, that's it. Audience lost. No, we just want to find out who Jason Bourne is. Why? Because there's too many bowling balls and you can't follow that many things. So with that in mind, make sure you can see the whole thing. Here we are. In our branding, we have to define something our customers want. It has to be generic enough to encompass your whole brand, but specific enough where they understand what creates a sense of desire in them. So I'll give you a minute to write that down. You want to know what your customer wants. Okay. So when we know what the customer wants, it's then time to look at the problem. Defining something our customer wants to get excited about, but no story starts until the hero encounters a problem. It's true. We all feel that sense of deepening fear or loss or something in a movie, like, oh God, I hope they get what they want. But we need to define something that our hero something that is keeping our hero from getting what they want. We set the hook. So I'll use Marvel, although Star Wars will definitely be coming up later, as Storybrand loves Star Wars. But Marvel, they want to get the Infinity Stones back. It's to stop Thanos from deleting half the people in the world. Now your customer is wondering whether or not we can help them solve that problem. So then number 2, which use your notepads, is there. Write information down. Imagine a movie in which the hero's problem is resolved in the first 15 minutes. Well, that was a rubbish film, wasn't it? And then the rest of the movie is them going about their life like normal. It's boring. We all live a normal life. I need some interesting stuff to watch. It just wouldn't be interesting, wouldn't it? The problem or the challenge that the hero faces is the most important element in a story to keep your audience engaged. For this reason, we should never stop talking about the problems. The second we do, the story is over and the customer loses interest. I can see nods because it's so true. There's always going to be the problem. Paul and Delissa, they running great broadcast your business events. Now, the problem is people don't know how to make great videos. Okay, so Delissa is going to show the production of that. It's similar with Dave because we've got the actual videographer here. People don't know how to create great videos. That could be for their social media. That could be for their website. It could be for any form of their marketing. Now you've got an event that can kind of teach you the product, the projection of that even. And then you've got Dave that can film that for you. What's the problem? They need great video. They're not marketing their business enough. So what is your customer's problem? I'll just give you a minute to ponder on it. I say a minute, it'll be less than that, but a few seconds at least. Okay. And this is where you come in. You've got the character, you've got the problem, and now you want to introduce yourself. Now that we've hooked our customers by pulling at their desires and defining a problem that is keeping them from getting what they want, they may be feeling a little hopeless. For centuries, storytellers have been bringing in another character at this point in the story that will help them find their way. And at We Do Social Media and at Storybrand, the character we will call this person is the guide. I love the guide. Now in the Hunger Games, Hamish is the guide to Katniss. In Star Wars, Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think I said that right, I hope I did, the guide to Luke Skywalker. The guide has one job in any movie, and it is to help the hero win the day. The reason for this, and we recommend that your brand never play the hero, but always play the guide. Your customer is the hero. It's like that saying, the customer's always right, although we don't want to ever admit it because they never usually are. But they always are the hero. We want them to really succeed. So if they're not right, you'll just guide them into the right direction. So how can you help your customers? Why are you the guide in this situation? What are you going to do to show yourself as a guide? I'll give you some insider knowledge. When you're presenting yourself as the guide, always give some empathy. We understand that you are struggling with this problem. With our 30 years experience, we can help you solve that. So you're putting authority on that as well. You want to show empathy and authority. On a website, you can do that just by putting any associations, any certificates you've received, how many years experience, just as some examples. So write down, how can you show an authority or an authority in your field? How many years experience have you got? Have you got certification training? Are you belonging to any associations? Have you worked with any bigger brands? I'm sorry, I'm going to keep using David as an example because he's the one I know best here. So I want to make sure you're getting examples that you can actually apply into your life. But David's worked for Sainsbury's, for example, and that would be kind of an example of what you could put. Logos of people you've worked with. For us, we've worked with the Kent Chamber logo on the website. Alrighty. Where's my screen? Here we are. We've gone through this very well. So just think about it. Every person wakes up with a hero in their story, and when the brand comes along acting like a hero, we don't want to work with them. We're going to be like, we're going to save you. No, I want to save myself. I just need some help, okay? You're the person giving the help. Alrighty, and then we want to give them a plan. And now this is really important because this is where we don't want to confuse people. At this point in your customer's story, they're likely to want to have an offer, and yet they aren't going to make a purchase. Why? Because the first time in their journey, this is the point where they're at risk. They're at risk of losing their money, their time, their pride. I hope not their pride, but you never know. And most customers aren't going to take that chance. So what we want to do is give them an easy plan. If you're going to someone and you're going, oh, you know, you need to book a meeting, then we're going to have the meeting, then we want to go through everything you want, then we're going to have to do this, then we're going to have to sign all this stuff, you know, the contracts, because, you know, you can't come out that contract. It's going to be, whoa, okay, hang on a minute. This is a lot scarier than I expected it to be. You know what, don't worry, customer gone. It's not like, unlike crossing a raging creek just up from a waterfall, very few people are going to cross that creek. So with that in mind, as a brand, we want to give our customer baby steps that they would take to do business with you. It might be as simple as download our software, go through a short tutorial and enjoy the results. Just listing free, maximum 4 steps to your customers will make it so much easier, and you will get so many more leads from your website by doing that. Simply as just having a singular call to action on every section of your website will get you more leads today. So I definitely recommend you doing that. And don't have any fannying call to actions, learn more. Have buy now, call now, book a meeting now, and you will start seeing results immediately from today. Another way of reducing risk is providing a free tool that people can download, and you can then build a relationship through your email marketing. So what would your plan be is what you've really got to think about. What 3 steps are you going to have? Always make the end one something successful. You know, what are the results they're going to see? As we'll kind of point to this in a minute. But next is that call to action that I was mentioning just then. Our heroes still need one more thing before they fully step into this story, and that's the call to action. You've given them the plan, but now you really want them to start making results. Now, heroes are reluctant to take action on their own. They do need a little push. Sometimes they have to be forced to take action. A bomb has to go off. A letter has to arrive in the mail. A couple has to meet and fall in love, but fail to get each other's contact information. Something happens that has to force the action. The reason this is true in stories is because it's true in life. We do have to be forced to make actions. And this is why I say don't do learn more, because all they're going to do is learn more. And then they're going to carry on burning calories. And there's nothing worse than being tired at someone's website. So my 5th point to this is that people won't take action unless you challenge them to do so. There should be one obvious button to press on your website, and it should be a direct call to action. If your website has a bunch of links in the top right corner, you're losing sales. Just keep it nice and clear. They don't have to make their call to actions clear enough. And sometimes they're so vague that customers can't figure out how they actually buy from someone. And again, I've had that before. I've gone onto a website and I'm like, hang on, I want to buy from you. How do I buy from you? Has anyone ever had that? I'd love to see some nods if I had. Yeah, we've all had it. And you're like, you know what, we'll just go on Amazon then. Like, fine. So what I want you to get out of this right now is, what call to action are you going to actively choose to make on your website? Is it going to be a book now, as in book a meeting, book a consultation, call now, email now? Even ourselves, we go through the process as story brand guides. think we pick on ourselves a lot. I don't like our call to action anymore. I think it's book a meeting, request an appointment. That's it. I don't like that anymore. I'm going to be changing that soon because I don't feel like it's enough still. Right, so we've had the call to action. Now, what are the results? The first result we're going to go to is their success. Unless we tell customers what can be won or lost based on whether or not they do business with us, the story has no stakes. And the story with no stakes isn't interesting. So we need to remind people, oh, if you don't buy from us, this is what you could lose. You could lose your pride all over again. You don't want that, do you? No, no, no. So you've got to remind them of those little things. So bringing us to our 6th point. When we show customers what their lives will look like if they use our products or services, and when they buy our product or services in order to achieve the future that they want, they're going to buy even more. We all love seeing our dreams in our head. It's why we have affirmations. It's why we have vision boards. It's why we scroll on Instagram at people that go on adventures that we want, because we imagine ourselves doing it. And we want our customers or potential customers to imagine the success that they're going to be getting by using you. All of you provide solutions to a key problem. It's just reminding yourself of how you really do help people and showing and telling the world how you do. All about communication, baby. So you're giving them the success, but unfortunately, there's also going to be a failure. And the opposite is also true. Heroes run towards the light and away from the darkness. We also have to show customers the consequence of not doing business with us. This isn't fear mongering. I just have to let you know. This is the reason I do story brand, because it's one of the least fear mongering tactics ever. But if nothing can be lost in a story, then there is no story. What's lost in the Avengers is that if they don't get the Infinity Stones, they could lose loved ones. You know, they're losing half the population. You need something to fight for. If someone doesn't go on social media, then they're going to lose business. If someone's social media isn't managed properly and you have a presence or an existence but it's empty, you're going to lose business. So it's really defining what is it that people are losing. By not getting their toilet fixed, they're going to be losing a good few days rest, I can assure you now. So just imagine that a story about a hero that has to disarm a bomb, except that 10 minutes into the movie we find that the bomb is a dud and no one is actually at risk. There's no story. You really have got to play it out. There is now no consequences as to whether the hero takes action or not. Is going to be a waste of time. Okay, so what does this mean for us? If there are no consequences for not doing business with you, there's no reason to do business with you. Simply put, this is a story, and nearly every story that you'll see in movies or books, the character will always meet a problem. They will always meet a guide that gives them the plan, gives them the call to action to make them move forward, and that will end in either success or failure. Okay. I'm just going to get the whole, because I can't do the amazing click through. And it'll give you time to write your question, write down any notes. There we are. Right, so what would that mean for your brand? Well, unless you can answer these 7 questions, customers probably aren't listening to you. So where do we go from here? Everybody in the room needs to create a brand script. Simply put, it's free. I'll send Molly a website and I'll try and find a quick one to put in the comments after this. But this is what it would look like ultimately. These are the questions you need to pose yourself. If you want, take a screenshot now so you can pop it up later. If you want to be proactive from this, definitely screenshot now. Maybe put us on social media and tag us all in too. That would be a good one. But answer these questions. It will really help you a lot. Here's what a free tool will look like that I'll send you. And there's actually videos on there of the founder of business, Donald Miller. He has this website, and you can create as many brand scripts as you want. I use this website for myself and for customers, and it will give you video tutorials on each section. I just want to show you of what a website might look like before and after. Here's one that hasn't been story branded, let's just say, full of information. There's loads of tabs that people can click on. It's not really saying what it does on the tin. It's just a bit messy. So what it could look like is just a lot clearer. It's got a simple call to action right at the top. You've lost all the fluff, I suppose. I'd say just give yourself a grunt test. Can you understand what your website is saying? How much information is on there? If someone were to look at it and didn't have a clue what you did, would they be able to tell you what you did? There's the amount of times I've seen financial sectors that don't actually say what they do in the financial sector is unbelievable. So you could be losing business in that way. So easy steps that you can take today. You could read a book or Audible, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. You can then create your own brand script using the link I'm going to put in the comments. I believe it's mystorybrand.com. I have to double check. Or you can contact us and we can help you. That's no problem. And then you just need to use that brand script in all your marketing collateral. Each of these steps, bar having to buy the book, are free. Can you believe it? You can change your business and start winning business for free if you just spend the time on it. And I'm sure there's people that can advocate it too. Now, there's only one thing, and remember this, going forward in anything, if you confuse, you lose. But you don't have to. We can help you clarify your message so that customers listen, and we have a system that will work, and it will work for you. It will work for anyone. Yeah, I hope you get a lot of notes from this today. I know it's quite a lot, so I burnt a lot of calories, so feel free to go and eat a chocolate bar. And thank you very much for your time today.
That was just excellent. Thank you so much, Elle. In terms of questions, if anyone would like to ask a question, if they could kindly unmute and put it to Elle. One of the things that I loved in the presentation there, Elle, was your call to arms, and to restate the value of, you know, actually giving people the information, but telling them what is their call to arms. Other than buy now or use my services, what are the examples that you have of a call to arms?
So it depends on the business. A lot of people have had book an appointment, ours request an appointment, call now, fill in the form, buy now. It's just very direct call to actions. If someone has a business that they're not sure on what it might be, feel free to ask. As I know there's different businesses here and different ones work for different kinds.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. And John Forbes, if we could kindly ask you to unmute. You were talking about Maslow's hierarchy of need. I've not seen that in forever. I got it
from university as well. And I think David and I posted it almost at exactly the same time. So I thought, that just
all about self-actualization and what we need and what is good to develop. Would you like to elaborate on that, how you think Maslow's hierarchy of need fits in with Elle's presentation?
Yeah, it's all from what I can remember, much the same as you, Kaz. It was university days for me, which was a good few years ago now. But it starts with the very basics, you know, food, water, shelter, that sort of thing, moves up to security, and eventually gets to the peak, which is self-actualization. And there have been some modified versions of that diagram where before you get to your basic needs of food, water, shelter, and everything else, somebody's scribbled on the bottom Wi-Fi now. So there's an adapted version of it.
Oh, hilarious, hilarious. Thank you for contributing. David Proud, you put some really useful comments in the chat as we were going along there.
I don't know about useful.
Yeah, no, you know, just helps, it prompts. Did you have any contributions to add to Ella, other than that was, you know, really, really interesting? Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good. I've known Elle for a long time, and seeing what StoryBrand does, we both learned about it at a similar time, but then Elle went and did the proper training for it, so she knows all about it. But it for me, it just sort of makes sense. I mean, coming from a video side of things as well, it's, you know, if you don't get to the point, if you don't identify a problem and say how you're the solution, then people don't really keep track. In terms of the website, Elle, is there a certain structure that you should follow? And another quick question: how would you use your StoryBrand guide to put it into your social media posts?
Oh, two lovely questions. Thanks, Dave. So with the website, yes, you can have it in an order. So I'll use yours as an example. You can mix and match, but always at the top have a very clear who you are and what you do, and then your call to action. But then it really depends on the service and what it is you're wanting to achieve. But you might have a section that's your value proposition, so you're showing how you can provide value. But you might have another section that's your stakes, so you're showing people what they could lose. There is a great e-bike website that we used as a case studies during our learning, and their stakes was, by not getting an e-bike, you're going to spend another 20 hours plus in traffic, you're going to be spending this much on petrol, which I thought was brilliant, because you're showing people, oh God, like, oh, I need a bike now, it's going to save me money. In terms of how you can use it in your social media, you can pull things. So you could use your whole brand script in your social media, but you can also pull sections. So you could just focus on a problem and you can solve that problem. Also with your social media, there's so many areas of each of our businesses. You know, you don't have to talk so broadly. You can really brand script every like nook and cranny. So if you've got a particular service, you can put a brand script into that. Or if you want to make a shorter post and there's a particular problem that people have, you can bring up the problem, the solution, and then a call to action. So you can really put it in different directions. It's something I definitely need to write a blog about. But in the meantime, if you need any help, I'm always free and answering the phone. So don't hesitate to just ask little questions on the phone.
Oh, thank you, Elle. And as soon as you've written that blog, if you want to share it with the Chamber, we'll happily publish it for you as a Chamber member. For those non-Chamber members here, posting of blogs for our members is one of the things that we just love to do. We learn so much more about our businesses. Very quick shout out, if I may. I know, Delicia, you are off screen at the moment. If you're there, can I kindly ask you to unmute? No, she's not here. Never mind. Brand new Chamber member, delighted to have her with us today. We've got a couple of new faces, which is always nice. For the new people here today, if I could kindly ask you to unmute and say a quick hello. The first one I've got, and forgive my pronunciation, is Presmek. What? Oh, man. Go on, unmute and help me out here.
That's Przemek.
Right.
It's a Polish name. I know that the pronunciation can be tricky if you look at how it's actually written. It's Przemek.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Pleasure.
New face. Good to have you here today. Do we have any other new faces here today who would like to say hello?
I'll just introduce and say hello. So it's the first time I've joined in. So,
excellent, Roger. I've sent you a LinkedIn connection request this morning.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting because I'm thinking about the social media side of things, because we've set up a business in the last sort of 6 to 12 months. It's sort of established itself, and it's interesting listening to some of the comments. I'm also curious in the same question that David said, how the story works with the social media side. and I don't have LinkedIn up to now, so I'm just about to set something up from that.
Oh, I've sent it to the wrong person. There
Ah,
must
there
be
you
two
go.
Roger Marks.
Oh,
When you've set it up, come and connect with
I will,
me.
yeah. But it's interesting. I'm curious how it all connects, because I have a bit of a marketing background, but the social media side is something else. So it's quite interesting seeing how that develops, especially for small businesses. So I quite like this idea of taking niches and putting that in within stories, and how that will evolve. So yeah, can
Superbly
comment on that. Maybe the
articulated.
blog works.
Superbly articulated, Roger. And there's some other Roger Marks out there that's had a random request from an eccentric English lady, and he's going to think, what the hell is this about? Hey ho. Margaret, good morning to you. Would you like to unmute?
Morning, Kaz. Thank you very much. So my name's Margaret Kane, and I am new to the Invicta Chamber of Commerce, and we've just started a small business in haulage. So I was really just coming along. We're looking at starting up a website and looking at all the social media. So it's been really helpful today, Elle. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Indeed. Do please feel free to connect with Elle, and she's always happy to schedule in a discovery meeting, and Linda, her mum too. They're business associates. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to put specifically to Elle? David, yes, if you could kindly unmute, sir.
I always rely on David.
Yeah, I've always got questions. How many times should you put a call to action button on your website?
Every section, every single section. Yeah, you're very tired. I know you've asked that on purpose, because I say it so many times. It would be hard for you not to forget. So every time your website breaks off with new different paragraphs of text, call to action, call to action.
I think it's something that we all forget. A really, really good question. Thank you. Molly, were there any questions that I'd missed in the chat from any of our guests here today?
Not that I can see. I think that has covered everyone.
Awesome. Molly, would you just like to run through the upcoming events, please?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
This Thursday we have Business Talks Live, and that is hosted by Kaz Macklin. And that will be, we will have one of our business advisors there who will be giving an update on any recent business news and advice. And you also have the option to ask during registration as well, if there's anything in particular you'd like to discuss. We'll also have a guest interview with Matthew Dorrington from Simple Advertising. So that'll be another really good social media related event as well. We'll take questions from the attendees, we'll ask them as well for you. Really good interactive event there as well, some really good networking opportunities.
Thank you so much, Molly. It only remains for me to thank Team Chamber, Molly Hall. Without her looking after us all, these wouldn't run so smoothly. We're forever grateful. And special thanks to our key speaker, Elle. Elle, that was really informative. It was sharp. You didn't use technical language. You weren't evangelical. And I'm going to take away from this today the call to arms, because do you know what? It's something I forget. When I put content out there, I forget to say why I'm doing it. So for me, the big takeaway has been call to arms. I love the retro feel from John and from David about Maslow. It actually quite focuses you and grounds you. To all of our guests today, these events would not be as successful if it wasn't for your kind attendance. I'd like to wish you a great forward day. I've been Kaz Macklin for Kent Invicta Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.